So, hi Fletcher, how have you been and how are the preparation for Fringe going on?
Hello. Um, Things are going well right now. Yes, we're kind of in the home stretch. I'm still here in New York City, but I've got that August 16th date circled and circled and circled on my calendars. I'm very excited to get there. But yeah, we're kind of in the mad dash now to just try to get tickets sold and move some inventory and hopefully have some good houses once we land.
And what are you looking forward to most in Edinburgh? Not in Fringe, in Edinburgh.
So we went last year. We took a sketch comedy show called Chimp Cocktail. We just did a brief run, and so I was so focused in that time. We did three shows. We were there for about a week, and so I didn't get to see enough of Edinburgh. Honestly, a couple of people went and did the hike up. What is it? St Andrew's Seat, maybe whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But I would like to explore the city more. I was able to see a ton of great shows, and that's always fun at this festival. It's amazing to go and meet other people that are performing and go check out their shows, and hopefully they come to yours. But being in Edinburgh, it's just an international festival, and so you get to meet people from all over the world, and that's sort of the appeal of an international festival like this. And there's parts of it that feel like, oh, okay, Brooklyn is just uprooting and going to Scotland for a month, but that's not the only thing that's happening there. There's so many interesting acts coming from places like Canada and Europe and all over the world. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
And the city gives so much gothic vibe. You have to hit the bars at night and everything.
Well, yeah, that's definitely of a huge appeal to me. Yes.
And I guess Edinburgh is such a place that Fringe gives you a chance to visit that place because it's a little bit far, I guess. How long is the flight?
How long is the flight? I want to say it's like 6 or 7 hours from New York. I could be completely wrong about that. I don't have a good head for numbers. But yeah, it's taking a trip like this. It's such an undertaking to put on a show anywhere, even here in New York, that to do it internationally adds another level of complexity to it, which is an added challenge and thus added excitement. I mean, it's really fun to be participating in an international stage like this.
And how did you start as an artist? What was the first thing that you did as an artist?
So I moved to New York when I was about 24, and I'd been writing at that time in my life, nothing serious, but my intention was very much to become a novelist. And I did have some success with that. I was able to get a few novels published, but I found quickly that I really wanted to collaborate with other people, and writing a novel is just really solitary work. And I'd written some satire pieces and gotten a few of those published. And so I knew that I liked writing comedy, and I knew I wanted to work with people. And I'd started to get into acting a little bit because a friend of mine had recommended that I take an acting class to meet other actors to then perform in my shows. And I just fell in love with it. I love that, unlike a novel, writing for the stage, you're writing for all five senses. You're creating or cultivating a multidimensional experience, and that is unlike any other thing that I've found. Even to watch a movie or a TV show, it seems so distant. Whereas live theater, there's really nothing like it. There's just no safety net if you're out there on stage, and the boundary between audience and performance is so porous that you end up, you know, getting caught up in the thrill of just performing live, and that's sort of what landed me there. And so yeah, for the past few years, it's been a lot of writing comedy for the stage, and yeah, I have no interest in looking back now. It's just been too much fun.
And it must have been like really hard, like you're performing on stage and you get your laughter and you're in character and you have to stay in character while taking in the laughs and applaud. How difficult is it?
It is difficult because, one, unless you're getting some kind of funded run somewhere, you're doing a festival, and that's pretty much all that I put up is things in festivals. And sure, we've done sketch shows, there's one-offs and everything, but at a festival, you might have between 3 and 5 opportunities to put your show up. And so by the time you get to that fifth show, it's all still feeling very new. We just did this show called The Ballad of Bonder Thrashman Fitzquaaludes at what's called the Mana Festival here in New York. We did 3 shows, and up to the last rehearsal, and even through the last show, there's moments that we're still breaking at our own jokes, which is just completely psychopathic of me as the writer. But the thing is, like, if you get a longer run, you can actually sink into the characters a little bit more. You can get used to the lines. You can find the pace of the show. And that's, again, the appeal of Edinburgh. I mean, we're going to do 12 shows of Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World? And so to really get the show in your bones like that is a real opportunity. But yeah, I mean, that's the fun of the comedy, though, too, and live performance, is that the audience is laughing and you get to work with the crowd's reactions. You're feeding off their energy. And it's so crucial. And every house, every audience is different. And so that is part of the joy of performing live, is that you get to experience the show along with this new audience. It'd be weird to like watch somebody read one of my novels. That would be strange. I don't think I would like that. I don't think that person would like that. But to experience, something that I've written along with an audience at the same time, it's sort of what keeps me coming back.
But there must have been some moment when the audience participation, like audience laughter and applaud, must have broke you, like you were on
Oh
stage
yeah,
in character and the audience didn't start laughing directly, but sometimes it's like audience give a delayed reaction to the jokes.
100%. Yeah, it is a strange thing. I mean, audiences are so strange that you don't know what people are going to laugh at or not. I mean, you can go into a show thinking this is definitely a laugh line. That is going to be a hard laugh right there. But things happen differently night to night. A certain line might be delivered in a funnier way one night or a different way that's surprising to the audience, surprising to us, and then that's when we really have to put on our stone faces and try not to laugh or break. But then there's other times where they aren't laughing at the things that you expect them to, and you just kind of have to keep progressing. And if you're rehearsing with sort of a laugh in mind there, you just kind of have to stay in the moment and push right through.
Do you remember any moment, any specific moment where it was like a blunder on stage?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, with these festivals, you're working with a tech, somebody that does license sound for your show, and you might get a few hours with them one time before your show. And so that's never going to be the perfect model for putting up the live show once you have an audience seated and everything, because there might be things that get thrown off. And so often, if there's like a phone call that I'm expecting to be 2 rings and then it keeps ringing, and yet I'm already on the phone, and this has happened a couple times, then you have to improvise and you have to be like, oh, what's wrong with this phone? Like you have to pull out some stupid joke to cover the moment. And I always, I think that that's, again, the fun of performing live. You have to stay open for those moments. You have to stay locked in.
And now talking about the positive aspect. So what was the first time that you got an audience reaction that made you believe in yourself?
Hmm. I think that there was our first sketch comedy show. So we did a sketch comedy show called Chimp Cocktail, and I founded Infinite Monkey Theater Co. with the intention of staging full-length plays, but it also became the engine through which we produced this sketch show. And we did a 10-show run at the Pit, a small comedy theater here in New York. And then we got an offer to have an off-Broadway residency for a couple shows at the Players Theater. We performed at Second City, and that show then went on to Fringe and won a couple of awards along the way, and it was a great journey. But had that first show not gone as well as it did, I mean, we sold out, much to my shock and surprise, but pure joy. And it's such a small black box theater, and to have like 80 plus bodies packed tight, people standing room only, and you're hearing them laugh to your writing, and I can tell that the cast is enjoying having their work on stage. A lot of them were kind of new to this stuff as well, just like I was back at that point. And that kind of gave us the buzz, and so we decided to keep going after that, and we kind of were chasing that first night feeling for the entirety of our run there. So that was the first moment. And then we would get into our full length plays and everything, and every time you have an audience laugh at your joke, it's incredibly gratifying if you're writing comedy. So it's basically, I think, for the rest of my life I'll probably be chasing that feeling.
Yeah, and that's a great motivation, to keep writing and to keep performing.
Yeah, and comedy is interesting, unlike drama, because you hear the reaction in the moment. You're really hearing the audience react to your jokes, and you can hear it based on their laughter. Whereas, sure, in a drama, you might get a really long, pregnant pause, but you don't know what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
A laugh is really revealing for an audience, and so to get that reaction is everything.
And what was the first drama that you did? You remember your first drama that you did?
I would say that all the things that I write are primarily comedy, but I describe it as like satire with a heart. And so there are moments where the comedy has to fizzle so that a moment with more gravity can land. I'd say that a play I did called First Liar on the Moon, and this is
Uh,
about it imagines that the moon landing was faked, and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were not astronauts but actors that were duped into performing this conspiracy theory for on behalf of the government. And so, yes, there's a lot of comedy in there. It's a big satire. It has resonances in our present, but it's incredibly dramatic too at moments, just because Neil Armstrong is sort of succumbing to depression and alcoholism based on bearing the weight of this lie. Um, and that was uncomfortable for me because, as somebody who writes comedy, you're waiting for that reaction from the audience to know if it's going well or not. And so to hear my good friend Colin Dennis, who's an incredible actor, he's delivering some very dark, deep monologues in this play, and to hear just like pin drop silence in the audience is like ants on my skin itchy, because I need to know what the audience is thinking in that moment. I need to know if that moment is landing, and sometimes you don't know. But sometimes that grave silence that comes over an audience and they're locked into the show like you are, that's how you know it's going okay.
this description of you reminded me of Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, when the entire movie
Mm,
is comedy and at the end it delivers a monologue.
yes, yes, yeah. I mean, Charlie Chaplin, one of the greats. I think that it helps the comedy, honestly, to have those moments of gravity. I am always looking to provoke some kind of reflection or thought in an audience if I can. And often, with times, the laugh is just the way in. It's just the foot in the door. That makes an audience feel comfortable. They think that they know what they're watching, but then it also provides an opportunity to surprise them, because they're expecting this to be a laugh, but when it doesn't come, and when they are then seeing a drama play out, then that's surprising to them. And I think that live theater lives on those surprises for the audience.
And how do you incorporate music into your plays?
Hmm. So prior to Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World, which actually has original songs, which was new for me, um, I would only have music in the shows as part of transitions, and it'd be selected based on whatever I felt like the tone of the show was. So for First Liar on the Moon, for example, we had things like Rocket Man or Satellites by Dave Matthews Band, and things like tangentially related, or things that might give the audience a hint as to what I'm intending the tone to be. But then Did You Charge Your Phone? We had seen so many great genre defying shows at Edinburgh Fringe last year, and they incorporated music and comedy and drama without making it a drama, a comedy, or a musical. It was all sort of piled into one. And I was really inspired by that. And so I also saw the comedic opportunity in including original songs in a show like this, particularly because the thing that these advertisers, the characters in the show, are trying to come up with is a jingle to put an upbeat, positive spin on an asteroid. And that is so ridiculous and silly to me that when they come out with these songs, it's all taken very seriously. And nature of comedy is commitment. And so if these actors, these characters are fully committed to coming up with this stupid jingle, then the audience buys in, because now they are hinging on which jingle is going to be picked by the dark, unforeseen client as well. So that was new. I mean, I was able to reconnect with some roommates I lived with in Bushwick, who are all musicians, musicians, and just in a day we sat down, we put together compositions and found the melodies, and then we matched those to the lyrics, and it was all very organic, and it was, again, collaborative. It's not something I could do when I was writing novels. It's connecting with people and putting our heads together to come up with something cumulative that we've all sort of contributed to.
Man, you mentioned so many elements, and it makes me wonder that how difficult is it to manage your team? There are so many elements when you're managing a team. How do you do it, and what's your trust and faith with the team?
So the appeal, as I've been saying with theater, is that it's collaborative. My method, if there is a method, is just working with people I really trust. And so for Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World, that's Lucy Boisvert and Colin Dennis. They're actors on this project, but we've collaborated in a number of ways on past projects. And so I just trust their judgment and their opinions, um, enough that, one, I trust that they're making the right instincts, and they have the right instincts to make the right choices, but also to give me feedback. Because if you're just completely tyrannical, then you're just executing your vision, and you're going to have blind spots. Everybody does. So you really need to work with people that are willing to speak up and share their opinions. I really respect the ideas that they bring to the table. But yeah, managing a team is really tough. I mean, with Chimp Cocktail, that sketch show, that's a 13-person cast, and 13 comedians is like it's like trying to herd minnows. I mean, they all want to go in separate directions, and to get them to swim along as a school requires a common goal, I think. And so my motto, my mantra is always that if you treat it like a big deal, everyone else will too. And so that applies not just to the cast, but to the audience and hopefully, industry, anything like that. I think that if everybody is aware that I'm giving my all, that then they can bring their all to the table as well.
And since you talked about how Collins elevated your monologue to a whole different level in the moon landing bit, so there must have been some time that you wrote a bit and an actor kind of bombed that bit.
It's funny you say that. I'll be the actor that's bombing this bit in this scenario. We did a play. We did Oops, We Lost a Nuke at Brooklyn Art House back in May, I think. It's all kind of a blur. But there's a moment there where at the top of the scene, my character says, or another character, a puppet character actually, says, if these walls could talk, they'd probably be screaming. Whole scene happens. Then at the end, I'm alone on stage. I'm playing Judith. And alone on stage, the walls start screaming. And they're screaming, and I have a reaction to it. In my head, that's really funny. On the page, I think it's really funny. It doesn't land in the show at all, and that's on me. I popped this bit too, so it's especially embarrassing. But it's like the nature of comedy. Like you need to make sure that your setup is as good as your punchline, and there's just too much distance between the two for that joke to have caught up with the audience. And I tend to think that audiences are really perceptive and smarter than most people treat them. But it's just bad joke construction on my part. And it wasn't the delivery, it was just a mechanical issue. But yeah, I mean, we watched the footage recently, and I was actually just texting Lucy, the producer director on Oops, We Lost a Nuke today, this morning, right from this interview, being like, we need to cut that bit, it doesn't work. And she completely agreed.
So today we are joined by Fletcher Michael, who is the founder of Infinite Monkey Theatre Company. And he's bringing his show, Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World, to the Fringe this year. He has done Chimp Cocktail in the past, but today we will talk about and we'll know more about this show. So Fletcher, now tell us about the show.
Sure. So Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World is a dystopian set in the near future. It's the year 2034, focused on an advertising agency based in Brooklyn. They're a boutique creative agency, and there's 3 members. That's Del Morgan, played by myself, Laura McClancy, played by the amazing Colin Dennis, and then Nico DeLuca Graham, played by the very talented Lucy Boisvert, who you're going to talk to right after this. Yeah. So the show takes place over the course of an hour, and within the show, the narrative takes place over the course of several months. And in this time, they're coming up with a jingle. They need to come up with a jingle because their shadowy client figure, who is sort of a stand-in for the government, has tasked them with coming up with a positive spin on an asteroid that's heading for the East Coast. First Brooklyn, then the East Coast. And so as the pressure mounts, they have yet to come up with an idea, but the show takes us through their creative process. Basically, we see them playing creative idea generation games. We see them coming up with songs, then discarding them if they don't quite fit. Tensions rise as they disagree over which idea might be superior to another. And it is a dark comedy. There's absurdist elements, there's surreal elements, but more than anything, it's a show about what friendship can last when stakes are raised higher than they've ever been. And so this is trying to laugh in the face of death. It's coming up with comedy in the face of capitalism. And that would, I would say that the real thing that I'm trying to get to with this show is creative process under pressure. And that is what we see with this advertising agency.
So you're like basically trying to tell people, okay, look at the creative process. This is what writer goes through every day.
Yes, on a epic scale, hopefully. I personally don't have to write my way out of an asteroid hitting Brooklyn where I live, but yes, it speaks to the pressure of writing when maybe it's not the easiest thing. It's in the stresses of life are putting pressure on your creative process. It can be hard to create under those circumstances.
And what do you think the audience would take away from the show, apart from a lot of laughter?
Apart from a lot of laughter, thank you. Yes, I hope so. My main hope, really, with anything that I stage, is that audiences are seeing an original idea executed in an original way. It's rarer these days that we see something that isn't handed to us pre-made or with some kind of background that people are aware of. I want people to see something new. I want them to feel like it's a show that wouldn't exist anywhere else, couldn't have come from anybody else's brain. And I think that Did You Charge Your Phone 2 really does speak to the kinds of shows that Infinite Monkey Theater Code does, in that it's a comedic play, but there's thought-provoking elements and it has a heart. It's not just for laughs. I really do hope that, yeah, people come away thinking that they've seen something they've never seen before.
Thank you so much. And here is one interesting question that from Chimp Cocktail to this show, what is the one thing that you think improved the most about yourself?
Hmm. Pace. Um, there's a real learning curve in writing for the stage, because things on the paper might feel like they're paced out in a certain way, but then once you put them on stage and once you realize you have actors transitioning here and there, you realize exactly how much that can slow something down. And in comedy, pace is everything. And so I think that Did You Charge Your Phone for the End of the World is the best examples of lessons learned there, because we're in one location. Somebody's on stage at all times. There's very few scene changes where we're all off stage. So the show moves really quickly, and it's incredibly continuous, and it heightens as it goes along. And I like to think that the scenes sort of tumble into each other as we get towards this climactic end. So that I think is the biggest difference. I love the pace of the show, and it times out really great. Because yeah, there's some early shows of mine where it's like, oh my god, I'm backstage and there's like a 2.5 minute transition happening. I'm crawling out of my skin, but that's not happening this show. So thank God.
And you forgot to mention that this time you have original music also. You just said that.
Yes, yeah, I know, and that's another thing that keeps the pace moving, and it is a risk, and it's trusting in the shows that have come before, learning those lessons, and trusting that you can take those risks, because I do at this point feel as though I have a sense of how far an audience will meet me in the middle. And so if they see me trying a new thing, the hope is, and we got some critical acclaim on our New York City Fringe run of this show. It seemed to work out. But again, there too, it's like I was saying before, with the surprise, that's everything in live theater. And so when we turn from making quick jokes with one another into a synchronized song, that's a surprise for the audience, and they don't see that coming. And I kind of want to live in that space.
And since you mentioned that you are a writer and you wanted to write novels, so just quickly tell me your top three novels. It could be dramas also. It could be plays also. Just top three.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to throw some plays in there as well. White Teeth by Zadie Smith is what I usually say is my favorite novel. It's incredible. I love like a rambling family story. Um, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. Incredible Tom Stoppard play. It deserves all the hype it's gotten over the years. It's completely inventive, and there too, it's absurd comedy, but with a hard edge, and that's very much my project as well. And then I recently finished reading Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe. Fantastic novel. I love anything that delves into the inner world of a place, creates that world, and then exposes you to the characters within it. It's just so well done. I love, like I've been saying before, like original idea, professionally executed. That's what I'm looking for in any piece of art.
And who are your favorite performers that you grew up watching? It could be like comedy performers like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, or anyone in plays also.
Oh, that's great. Um, I saw Andrew Scott do a one-man Banya. It was just a tour de force performance. I don't know that I've seen acting that good in my life. So he would be way up there. In terms of comedy, I grew up on Will Ferrell and the Judd Apatow movies.
Ah.
Those are real touchstones for me. And right now on SNL, Ashley Padilla is just sensational. I mean, I will watch her read a phone book. She's so entertaining. Those are, yeah, a handful. I could go on and on about the people that have inspired me over the years, but those are three that come to mind.
And I think that you mentioned Judd Apatow, and one of the best things Judd Apatow did, like, yeah, his comedy movie range is like too good, but he did a documentary on George Carlin, American Dream. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I've seen some of his other documentaries. I've seen he did that Gary Shandling documentary, I
Ah,
think, too. Really great. I love the Larry Sanders Show. Anything that's sort of meta like that, I'm way into. I love that stuff.
thank you so much for this interview, and I hope you liked it.
Oh, this is great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to talk more about this show, but then I realized that I would let Lucy do the talking a little bit more because else it would be like kind of the same interview.
Yeah, yeah, no, she'll be able to fill in any gaps that I've missed here, I'm sure.
And I actually wanted to really know about, you as a leader because I know that leading could be very difficult when you talk about it.
It can be, but like I've been saying, like you surround yourself with really talented, smart, creative people, and you don't have to do much leading, which has been my fortune.
And thank you so much for this and all the best for the Fringe.
Okay, thank you so much, Kishan.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.